As I say, a long, long time ago, Russia was possibly warm and even had large grain fields, um, large wheat fields, and everything else. But over the years, the climate had changed and it had gotten colder and colder and colder and colder, which made it a lot harder for people to live there, basically. And there was coming frost and cold, and that required the people to have to move out of there for one thing, and for another thing, um, it was anyway. It was cold. They couldn't meet their food demands, and actually they're running out of food, so people had to leave Russia basically, and I'm forgetting. I mean, I'm thinking like there was a long, long ago Russia, and then there's the more modern day Russia, which is and I mean Russia has changed a vast amount over the years. And I remember, and at one point in time, it was basically like a frozen wasteland where basically there's like a large portion of Russia and even America that was basically just frozen. Anyway, and we were working on a deep underground. Basically, you drill down and you tap into the Earth's heat, and you basically pump water down there. And we were working on a steam, basically using glass and basically hot houses. Basically, I had this crazy idea that if we built a wooden structure or some sort of structure and then put glass on the top of it, the sunlight would be able to shine through, and yet we could keep the space inside of it warm. So giant, basically greenhouses, pretty much. And I had this idea that maybe, just maybe, the light from the sun would be enough to create to keep it warm, even in the winter. And then possibly with some thermal drilling, where you drill way down deep into the ground and then you basically pump water down there and water out. Well, it requires a deep mine shaft, and basically you pump water through an area deep underground and then back up to the surface. And then you could possibly also keep the roots warm as well, and possibly provide accelerated. We're also working on maybe doing accelerated growth, like maybe even providing light bulbs during the nighttime to keep the plants growing. It was basically this possible like extending the growing season, because normally growing season also the light changes, stuff like that. There's a lot of issues with being up there. Anyway, though, basically Russia was my fallback position for Germany, because I built Germany, and Russia was basically cold, and there weren't that many people up there, but it was vast areas of land, and I was like, "There's all this land up there. What? Why are we going up there? Let's go!" and I mean, it was like wilderness, and like I said, you could only get up to Russia like 2 or 3 times a year, when it was frozen. As soon as it thawed or it cooled off, I mean, it became like the slushy wasteland where you just go bloop, bloop, like literally, like 200, like a couple thousand years ago. If you wanted to go to Russia, you'd go oh, bloop, into the mud. It was nothing but mud or impassable roads. It was impossible to get into Russia, basically, except for like two different directions or whatever, two different roads or whatever, and you basically had to carve through mountains to actually get to Russia, pretty much. Anyway, Russia was a pretty was I mean, I'm talking about long, long time ago. Anyway, though, so Russia was basically my Germany fallback position. If Germany was ever taken, we would fall back to Russia, pretty much. I mean, we built Russia. Like I said, I built the railroad tracks and the train tracks, and I built Germany. So, and nobody wanted to be in Russia. Nobody thought there was anything valuable in Russia. Nobody wanted to go up there. I was like, I'm going, and everyone was like, "What are you, crazy? It's freezing. It's cold up there. Nobody lives in Russia." I was like, "Well, I'll be the first," So I was going to go to Russia, and I was investing a huge amount of money into getting into Russia, getting up in there, because there's no roads, there is nothing. Like nobody would. There's nothing up in Russia. I mean, you either flew there or you didn't go. So and there were some ports that were open, like large portions of Russia were only accessible by ship, basically. And I was like, well, we're going to build our first railroad up there. So I wanted to build a railroad up there from Germany, because I was like, well, I have nice railroads down here, and let's get up to Russia. and I wanted to get there, and so, well, they assembled some work parties, and we started building a road to Russia. And I was like, well, I'll be the first. So so we were going up to Russia, and then once we got up in there, of course, it was like it was cold, it was freezing, nobody wanted to be there, and everyone hated it. But like I say, once we got up in there, and I think they found some oil up in there, we started mining, and we started getting into those mountains, and we started finding metal and all. They found some stuff in Russia that they hadn't found anywhere yet. Just by digging, I was like, let's dig through a mountain, see see what's inside this baby, So they picked a mountain and just started digging into it based on my German geologist. My German geologist said, that one there, we shall dig through it. Anyway, so they started digging into it just to see what was in there. I mean, it's the same thing as what I did in America. Basically, you find a big mountain and dig into it, and then and see what's in there. And there's usually something in there. I mean, there's usually some sort of like something. There's always something inside of a mountain. So they picked a nice little spot and just started digging into it. And lo and behold, yes, there was something good inside. And I mean, every mountain basically has something good inside. I have never ever had my people dig into a mountain and not found something. There's always something, gold or. I mean, it's almost they're like the juicy little things that nobody ever taps into. It's like you just start digging in and then they start pulling out. Well, this would be pyrite or wait, yeah. You get about midsection of almost any mountain, and basically, especially the tall ones, any of the tall mountains, and there's always something good inside there. So yeah. So when we got up to Russia, somebody said, there's mountains in Russia. I was like, mountains? Let's go. So we, I know it's kind of silly of me, but I was like, we're going. And so we were investing huge amounts of money into getting up into Russia because somebody said that there are tall mountains up there. And I'm one of those people, I just couldn't help it. So we start digging, and so we send crews up there, and we start getting a road up there, and of course surveying, and wow, people working forever on these roads. I mean, just to get equipment in there. That's one of the reasons why I had a lot of tracked vehicles, and it was like, bloop, just because it's crazy, just like mud. And like horses, and the locals are helping us get up in there because we're giving them money or metal or food or whatever. Because I mean, people just basically follow along with us. Like when one of my work parties or work crews were going anywhere, usually like 1,000 people would come with, just because it's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And we're all like, and just I mean, children and people just like to follow. And so my building crews were going up into Russia, so, the little children were following along behind us, I guess. And like, I love children, and they always seem to follow, like people on a mission or on a project. So we were going to Russia, and we were building our trainway there, and getting up in there, and there was almost a problem because like some 5,000 people or 3,000 people wanted to come with us, and it's like, we don't have food for you. We don't have clothes for you. You're gonna need some clothes, and some food, and some shoes and stuff. And so they had to go and get their get some clothes and shoes, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm serious. Like back in the old days, it's really funny. It's almost like one of these third world countries where all these children just kind of follow you along because you're the only thing that's happening in the world. I mean, a lot of Americans, a lot of other people would know what I'm talking about. All these little kids, they just. They want to know what you're doing, and they want to know where you're going, and they want to go with you. And it's like, where we're going, it's dangerous and crazy because it's going to freeze. We're probably going to freeze to death, and we don't even know if we're going to make it. So, as long as we're probably going to die, and all that. So, like my people, like my Germans and all my people, they're always really loving, and the children always were right there behind us, which is kind of funny. Children just sometimes have a tendency to follow. Anyway, though, so we were going to go to Russia, and we we're getting up in there, and then later on, when Africa was attacking Germany and England, Russia was our fallback position. So because we had the trainways up there, we had the railways up there. So that's where Germany basically evacuated Russia, into the mountains because we were the only ones with the trains and railways. So